Another strategy for active readers is being able to use context clues. When you guys are reading and you come across an unfamiliar word, using context clues is an effective way to garner the meaning of those unfamiliar words. You don't have the time to always stop and look the word up. So using context clues is a way to define an unfamiliar word. Context clues are hints that the author gives to help define a difficult or unusual word. A context clue is the strategy of using surrounding words to determine the meaning of an unfamiliar word. There are several different types of context clues. We are going to learn the four common types, which are synonyms, antonyms, your logic, and example. The synonym context clue is sometimes called the definition context clue as well. We know that a synonym is a word that has the same or nearly the same meaning as another word. You guys need to know that. A synonym is a word that has the same or nearly the same meaning as another word, such as beautiful and gorgeous, hideous and ugly. Many times an author will place a synonym next to a new or difficult word as a context clue. The synonym clue will be set off or set aside by punctuation marks. Authors sometimes use commas, parentheses, or dashes to set aside the synonym clue in a sentence. Other times the author may use the punctuation signals in addition to the words or and that is. Here are some examples. Remember punctuation clues that often accompany synonyms are commas, parentheses, and dashes, and also the signal words or and that is. When commas are used, his emaciation, comma, his skeleton-like appearance, comma, was frightening to see. The unfamiliar word here is emaciation. Notice the phrase that is enclosed in commas, his skeleton-like appearance. That is the definition of the unfamiliar word. When an author uses a synonym clue, it will be right beside or right next to the unfamiliar word, and it will be enclosed in some type of punctuation mark, such as commas, parentheses, or dashes. So the definition of emaciation is skeleton-like appearance. The harlequin, like the circus clown, was a fool who loved to perform. Harlequin means circus clown. Look right next to the unfamiliar word. You have parentheses and a phrase within the parentheses, like the circus clown. That means a harlequin is something similar to a circus clown. Okay. Once again, when an author uses a synonym or definition clue, it will be next to or beside the unfamiliar word. And authors also use signal words like or that is to signal a synonym clue. Olympic gymnasts are very limber or flexible, allowing them to perform their skillful movements. Notice the clue word or. Notice that the clue word as well as the synonym to limber, they are both enclosed in commas. So the definition of limber is flexible. The other type of context clue that is commonly used by authors is the antonym or the contrast clue. Antonyms are words that are opposite in meaning. Hot, cold, up, and down are examples of antonyms. You need to know this. Antonyms help the reader see the shade of a word's meaning by providing its opposite. Antonyms help you find the meaning of a difficult word by showing you what the word does not mean. Antonym context clues will often have signal words. When you see words like rather than, however, but, in contrast, unlike, on the other hand, although, these are words that indicate that this is the antonym clue. Okay, so let's practice the antonym clue. Although the rich woman gave a paltry sum to charity, her sister made a large donation. The word paltry is the signal word that indicates an antonym clue. And so Antonym clues are opposite or means the opposite. So although the rich woman gave a paltry sum to charity, her sister made an opposite donation, which is a large donation to charity. Okay, and so if the rich woman did opposite than her sister, and her sister made a large donation, paltry means the opposite of large. And so what does paltry mean? You said small. You are correct. Brady tried to quell the rumors about his illness, but they continued. The word but is a signal word for the antonym clue, meaning that we are going to use the opposite to help us figure out the meaning of the unknown word. So Brady tried to quell the rumors, but they continued. What is the opposite of continue? If you said stop, you are correct. Brady tried to stop the rumors about his illness, but they continued. Two brothers started boot camp this month. Ben has a pusillanimous personality. On the other hand, Jack is brave and courageous. On the other hand, is the signal phrase or the signal word or that indicates that we're using the antonym clue. And so if Ben was pusillanimous and he's opposite than his brother Jack, who is brave and courageous, Ben is what? Pusillanimous means, you said cowardly and timid. You are correct. The next clue is the example clue. A writer often includes examples that help to explain or clarify a word. They use signal words and phrases such as to illustrate, for instance, for examples such as and including. So in the example clue, you would have signal words similar to those signal words that you had in the antonym clue. So in the antonym clue, if you saw although, but, on the other hand, you know that you were going to talk about the opposite. In the example clue, if you see words like to illustrate, for instance, for example, such as and including, you know that you're going to be giving examples of the unfamiliar word. The river was full of noxious materials, such as is the clue that you're going to be giving examples of noxious materials, cleaning agents from factories and pesticides from the nearby farms, fecal matter from the sewer. So if examples of noxious materials are cleaning agencies from factories, pesticides from nearby farms, and fecal matter from the sewer, we know that noxious would be what? You said harmful. You are correct. This third grade class was full of precocious children. One child had learned to read at 2, another could do algebra at 6. So this particular sentence or these sentences gave examples of precocious children. One child could read at 2 and the other could do algebra at 6. So precocious means what? If you said intelligent, you are correct. When going to an office party, you should show your best decorum. For example, the phrase for example indicates that we are going to give examples of the word decorum. And so examples of decorum would be dress your best, drink and eat moderately, and be sure to thank the host before you leave. So the unfamiliar word is decorum. The author gave you examples of decorum. And so what is the definition of decorum? You indicated behavior. You are correct. The last type of context clue that we're going to discuss is your logic. Many times you can figure out the meaning of an unknown word by just using logic and reasoning based on the context of the paragraph or the sentence. Okay, so let's practice your logic. Old Mr. Riley was quite spry for his age. Daily he walked several blocks to buy the newspaper, and I often saw him working in his garden. So what does spry mean? We're going to use the context of the sentences, your logic and reasoning to figure out the meaning of spry. So we know that Mr. Riley was old, okay? But despite his old age, he walked several blocks and he was often working in his garden. So what do you think spry means? Does spry mean that Mr. Riley was active, lazy, old, or angry? If you selected active, you are correct. Let's do another example. Wilson put on a heavy coat, a wool scarf, several pairs of socks inside his boots, and fur-lined gloves to protect himself against the frigid weather. So we are looking at what Wilson put on. Logic and common sense lets us know that we do not wear a heavy coat, a wool scarf, 2 or 3 pairs of socks and boots, and gloves with fur in them during the summer months, right? And so this type of clothing is meant to protect us against very cold weather. And so frigid would mean very cold. Okay. Great job. Next, you guys need to view the PowerPoint slide or the YouTube video on topics and main ideas.